Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So today, I wanted us to actually discuss a little theory that I came up with, something that was very interesting, and something I've been thinking about for a little while. And I did a bit of research into this, and I thought this might be something to just kind of talk about and theorize on. Anyways, so just sit back, relax, and let's go ahead and start this discussion, and let me know what you think down below. But anyways, let's get this started. So, now as we know, there's obviously four maidens, one of spring, fall, winter, and summer. Now, of course, thinking about this, there's something that's very interesting though. There's one of four. Obviously, there's four seasons, and the one thing that's been really kind of intriguing to me is that obviously we know that there is, four members to a team typically. Usually, whenever the academies enroll, students, they always are under a team. Now, as we know, RWBY themselves, they're a member of four. Each one of the members is actually female. And now, something that's interesting to me as well that stood out is they all have very interesting and distinctive emblems, if you think about it. Their symbols actually, could mean something. And this actually kind of stands out to me, and it kind of makes me think that there's a possibility of each of Team RWBY maybe in the future getting maiden powers. Let me talk about this for just a minute. So, what a rose represents, it is considered as a symbol of balance. The beauty of this flower expresses promise, hope, and new beginnings. It is contrasted by thorns symbolizing defense, loss, and thoughtfulness. Now, if you actually look at this, something that's actually very interesting as well is I want to compare a season to this. Now, I'm not saying this season is what could be possible, to get. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm just saying this is something to compare it to. Is the spring season itself, the themes of rebirth and renewal often use symbols from the spring season. Spring also refers to love, hope, youth, and growth. Now, of course, if you think about this, this looks, very, interesting. But here's the thing: I don't think if RWBY were to obtain a season power, like from a maiden, I don't think it would be spring, considering Chapter 12 kind of confirms that a little bit, possibly, but maybe it could. But spring would actually fit RWBY's personality, considering she's very hopeful, she's young, she still, could have growth as a character, and, she does love her friends and everyone around her, as well as family. So, it's kind of interesting to think that that could be a possibility. Now, that's actually a very interesting spring to refer to the rose. But now, another thing that this could actually also refer to as a maiden power that RWBY could potentially have to do with is it could actually fall upon Cinder. And now, why do I say that? Because Cinder is the Fall Maiden, and she herself actually wants to get revenge on RWBY for what happened at the Fall Beacon. Now, what does fall represent? So, the fall season, this is what it symbolizes: the balance between light and darkness, releasing and letting go of an old and negative energies from your presence and awareness, adaptability, preparation, and accepting impermanence. Now, of course, that's actually very interesting, and the season of autumn also symbolizes the time of self reflection. And of course, if we look at that, that could also be something that RWBY could do, because RWBY has been trying to learn a few things, and fighting is something that she does have to learn about. It's actually very interesting to say that she could become the Fall Maiden if Cinder dies, because rage could fill Cinder's mind, and all she could think about is RWBY, because anger can actually cloud someone's judgment and their thought process. And so her last thought, if she does die, could actually result in being RWBY as of revenge. And considering we've seen RWBY reflect on things, fall could be a possibility for her to get a maiden power if she does obtain one. Another one could actually be summer, because itself, summer represents youth and adulthood, as to where, that's actually very interesting. And it's not just because, yes, I know Summer was her mother's name, but it actually symbolizes the growth of an individual. It, symbolizes adulthood. And if you actually look at it, RWBY herself is still a growing character. In the beginning, she actually was, very naive to the world and naive to how the world entirely worked, and that, hardships are to come. And so I think that if she were to gain a power, fall and summer would probably be the most likely. Spring could be a possibility, but considering, the fact is, more than likely spring may not. But fall or summer would actually kind of attribute to her character a lot more, in the symbolism kind of way. Now, of course, the next thing we have to look at is actually a snowflake. And according to, the ancient Zen proverbs, A snowflake never falls in the wrong place. The beauty of snowflakes, their hypnotizing silhouettes, and their mysterious formation process have made them the center of legends, symbols of purity, and accurate proverbs spanning different cultures and philosophies. Now, that's actually very interesting if you think about it. And what we have to also look at is we also have to look at the season of winter. And what winter actually is associated with is old age, since it is characterized by fertility and death. But now, don't think I'm saying that death is what's coming for a certain character here, because I mean it could happen to any of the characters, or none of them could die soon at all. But looking at Weiss herself, Weiss is a character that, if you actually look at the whole idea behind a snowflake, is the beauty of snowflakes and how that reflects upon Weiss. Because if you look at Weiss, her character both on the inside and the out, she has inner and outer beauty. And when it comes to winter having to reflect upon death, the death of her cold, characteristic where she was cold towards people, very well shows that she's let that side of her kind of die off. And she's actually kind of blossomed and sprung out and has become more beautiful on the inside and the outside as a character. And now, if you actually think about this as well, if you think about snowflakes like this, their hypnotizing silhouettes and their mysterious formation process have made them the center of legends. Now, that sounds familiar because the maidens themselves are legends. And the winter, maiden power, if Weiss were to ever get that, would make the most sense for her character because it actually seems like it fits very well with her. And, considering how her character has grown in the way that it has, it would actually make sense. And the snowflake pattern only, helps symbolize that, as well as the beauty of winter. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is actually going to be Blake and her emblem. Now, this one's actually very interesting, and it can be seen in a couple of different ways. But the thing that I think this mostly looks like is the deadly nightshade flower. And it is a highly poisonous plant with purple bell flowers and small black berries. And it is a symbol of deception, danger, and death. So it's actually very interesting to actually kind of look at this emblem kind of in that way. Now, how does that kind of sound familiar with a lot of things? I know you're probably thinking, man, that was really dark and that was really, really, crazy to think about. Yeah, I know, I understand, but that's not the direction I'm taking with this, don't worry. Now, if we look at Blake for a minute, the thing that was interesting about Blake was she didn't really trust people very much. And, due to the fact of the faunus and the human interactions, because there was such prejudice against the faunus by the humans, it definitely pushed her away and it pushed her into an area to where she couldn't really think about trusting humans too much. But she didn't throw all of her faith away in humans, but she was very weary of them by having the bow over her head. Now, this is actually kind of interesting if you actually think about it, because let's look at the summer season for 1 minute, and having to go back to it. Now, it's related to birth and death symbolism and is light and darkness symbolism. And that's actually kind of interesting because light and darkness, it kind of shows the aspect of how, even though Blake was a part of the White Fang, it was for good reasoning, like to actually help support the Faunus in the beginning, but they went down a wrong path, and the White Fang, turned to, the bad side of things. And now, of course, she sees the darkness in them. Obviously, she left them and saw that. And Adam was kind of the reason why she really saw that. And then, of course, if you actually think about it yet now, she's on the light of things and trying to cause a rebellion. And considering that Summer is that of rebirth, considering that now her character doesn't run away, that she has, the courage to stand up and to say no to the White Fang, and now that she's going to create the rebellion against them to try to save the humans, it shows that the humans and the faunus could come together, showing Blake's rebirth of a character not having to run away anymore, instead of trying to hide from the problem to actually, take on the solution, so being reborn as a character to fight back rather than to run away. You could also kind of tie that in with Spring, but due to certain circumstances, I don't think Spring is really so much possible, but that's just my opinion. But another one that could be very likely could also be Fall, because it's the balance between light and darkness, and releasing and letting go of the old and negative energies from your presence and awareness. That's another possibility. But then again, I find that one to be a little more, not really possible. But Summer, I think, actually works pretty well, but Fall could be a possibility. Some chance Spring could be a possibility, but who knows. But anyways, so now we're on to the final one, which this one's going to be interesting as well. and that one actually being, Yang's actual emblem and what this could actually represent. Now, if we look at it, what Yang's emblem looks like is it looks like a flaming heart, and now we have to actually see what the heart represents, and what it represents is the focus of physical and spiritual being, and represents the central wisdom of feeling as opposed to the head wisdom of reason. It is compassion and understanding, life giving and complex. It is a symbol for love and often known as the seat of emotions. And the heart is synonymous with affection, which sounds very much like Yang's own character. Now, of course, this is very interesting when you think about it because she has that motherly personality because of, at the young age, she didn't have her mother. Obviously, Summer, left and just vanished. So of course that means that Yang herself became a motherly character to Ruby. Now of course where that actually falls upon is that falls kind of upon spring, because if you actually think about the spring season, is it also refers to love, hope, youth, and growth. And every single last one of those things, sounds like Yang. And yes, Yang, if you think about it, yeah, she was definitely a hothead in the beginning. But if you actually look at it, she had the caring, compassion. She had all these feelings, and if you actually think about it, it actually suits very well with spring. It actually, makes spring sound very relevant. And if things go the way they're going to, possibly Yang could become the Spring Maiden, which makes actually a ton of sense if she actually became the Spring Maiden, and it would actually line up with her perfectly. And not only does spring fit Yang actually very well, but if you actually think about the whole summer, maiden, abilities, if you think about summer actually could make sense because of, age and death, as well as rebirth, or related to birth and death symbolism and light and darkness symbolism. She dealt with a big problem at one time, and of course, her personality is starting to be more reborn again, and she's starting to come out as a character again as she used to be. Like, she was a very vibrant character and very sunny, but, that is a thing that it's like rebirth for her. But who's to say? Spring or summer could actually be very likely for her, in my honest opinion. But, if you think about it, these actually could fit onto characteristics, and I'm not saying that they're all going to get these specific abilities, even if they do. They may not even get any maiden powers at all. But I thought that looking at some of the symbolism behind the seasons could actually, kind of result in making you understand a little more that there's a possibility that Team RWBY could get these powers. And it would actually be very interesting if they go upon the characteristics of what the seasons actually represent. But who knows? Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But anyways, you let me know what you think down below. Thank you all for watching. It's greatly appreciated. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and share this with your friends if you found this informative. Well, anyways, you all take care of yourselves. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and I hope that everything goes well for all of you. And if today wasn't a great day, tomorrow could always be better. Take care, everybody.